Now, before we discuss how Pusha T has maintained one of the greatest rap careers in recent memory, and Drake has just become even more embarrassed, let's talk about how hip-hop is changing and how Pusha T is demonstrating to these losers that their days in the game are over. To ensure that everyone sees that message, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. When we consider what has already transpired in rap and his career recently, in addition to what has just happened with Pusha T and the way he called out all of his longtime rivals, he really just took the biggest victory lap possible after releasing one of the best rap albums in years with the clips and Let God Work Things Out. Now he is putting everything that has transpired into stone. Since this is a fantastic moment and one that we hip-hop lovers will want to remember, we will definitely make sure to leave that like. Now, specifically, what I'm talking about is that despite all of Drake's missteps, failures, and other noise that side of hip-hop is producing, Pusha's first album was released after they overtook the entire industry with Cliff's album, and simply made a statement in rap that was bigger than most albums in years. And with that, Push has taken the momentum from an album that would have been #1 in the majority of other weeks this year and throughout this entire era and chapter in music, and really moved the way you should after doing one of the biggest things a rapper can do: make an album that is relevant, culturally significant, and critically acclaimed while competing on the charts with pop stars and artists who have all the support in the world. Of course, he did this after Clips demonstrated that they could compete with Travis Scott and the Jack Boys, as well as a giant the size of Justin Bieber. As we see all of these albums go through their release cycles, Travis Scott is falling off the charts, but Push and Malice are still dominating the hip-hop scene with their body of work, directly behind Tyler, the Creator. Additionally, Freddie Gibbs will be joining them. We will discuss him shortly. You won't want to miss it, so please like and subscribe if you'd like to hear my opinions on Alfredo, as well as everything that's happening with that record and the influence it's going to have. With his current momentum and strong drive, it is clear that he is here to stay. He then did what all great rappers should do after releasing music of a classic caliber: start talking over all of your rivals. And at that point, Push is only creating controversy because he is currently outperforming Lil Wayne in terms of statistics and has officially outlasted his longest-running competitor with this new collaboration with Wall, which he also made in collaboration with Anthony Edwards as an executive producer for a project he is working on. Push now has the go-ahead to move forward in any way. Along with this record, there is a song called Damage Control. These guys really couldn't have chosen a better headline since, after being called out here, this is what the rap scene's whiny, complaining, and lawsuit-prone side will actually do. Speaking of being called out, you must understand that Pusha T is not only the current rap game's victor with what he did with Clips and their album for all of its success, but that success has also allowed Pusha T to become an artist who is truly living the life of his dreams, free to create music and explore his creative options as a storytelling and artistic individual. As a result, Push may now say and do anything he wants. Even when we read this passage, we can see who he is criticizing and pointing out. Again, this is something that Push hasn't actually been able to accomplish since the Drake feud ended in 2018, since, as we discovered, the main reason the Clips album wasn't released sooner was that Lame was furious about losing the beef. In order to ensure that the words of every T-verse song and feature that was ever released were reviewed and that he was not saying anything that would even somewhat offend Rap's largest Pinocchio fan, he utilized his influence within their major label structure. At the same time, Pinocchio, the verified admirer, continued to disparage Push whenever he had the opportunity. Asterisk. Since you really can't say anything after listening to all the contempt in Churchill Downs, Meltdown, and so many more tunes, this is what Push truly needs to comprehend. Push is now speaking out against Drake specifically and everything he couldn't do, which in and of itself cost him entire album spots from several well-known artists, because Drake was afraid to have him on these songs, and the labels didn't want to deal with that. This is because Push has won, his album is no longer shelved, and they are no longer under contract. Once more, you have to consider this from Push's point of view. Taking into account all he lost over that period and his current actions. And now, after releasing an album that many people, myself included, would consider the year's best record, it's that amazing. Not only can Push now share his tale, but he can also say and do anything he wants on top of the rap scene, and nobody will stop him. Thus, this appears to be exactly what happens with the performance that Push is giving us in this song. In the end, you see the celebration of a man who has never been happier, while his competitors have never been more depressed. There is a lot to dissect here, so let's just go right into this verse and the disses. And now, before Pusha even takes the field, Wall is joining him on this song. He is demonstrating that in a time when hip-hop lyricists are more out than they have been in years, and the genre is returning to a better place. At the very least. It is attempting to be ready for the moment while also demonstrating that he is capable of competing with one of the greatest rappers in the world. However, Pusha T himself is the major attraction and the reason we are here. As soon as Push jumps on this track to wrap things up, says, "I'm the truth and the proof." And you can hear him rap in a very different style and flow than he did on the album he recently released. For anyone who is not standing next to Pusha T or is involved in a feud, since Pusha T is still becoming more frightening, please simply move aside. And when he starts criticizing them, the greatest opponents in Pusha's whole career, actually, take notice. "All I hear is birds," he says, opening the bars he has here with a few shots for Birdman. That is only what was said in the booth. It's the most authentic Birdman I've ever seen. Now, with this going far beyond Pushy, we're almost brought back to the code of the Clips and the way they double and triple entendre code. All of their rhymes to convey a lot of meaning with the birds, followed by the album's opening track, the "Birds Don't Sing." At this point, the entire message takes on a completely other meaning that is related to Birdman himself. It almost seems like Push is getting the last lick back that he fell and malice could have ever needed on the man whose very decisions caused this line of feud that has continued for over 20 years, which naturally led to Drake and Kendrick. This is especially true now given where all of these hip-hop figures have ended up. After teasing Birdman, who is currently essentially non-existent in hip-hop, Pusha T then takes it a step further and hurls some frank jabs at Drake. And it's similar to what we've seen with Birdman thus far, which essentially serves to retaliate against these legendary screets. If your legendary rivalries and feuds that he has had throughout his career, and he can say anything he wants now that Pusha T is so high. As we saw Push laugh at Birdman there, he is also laughing at Drake and saying everything he has wanted to say for a long time. Again, this isn't much because Push won their feud, but he just wants to address the failed and flawed man and rapper he has seen. So, he just tells Drake, "Bruised egos, man. You might sue." To be honest, it's brief and direct. And I believe it's the most effective thing Push could have done to paint a picture of where he is now in relation to all the crash-outs who have disliked him over the years. Additionally, there is Jack Nino's bar at the conclusion of this. This alludes to the iconic movie New Jack City and the brothers from it who are known as the Cash Money Brothers. With that said, Push effortlessly moves past these disses with a few more flexes that only serve to enhance his persona and demonstrate that he is one of the most inventive names in hip-hop history when it comes to simply telling his competitors that he is superior to them. After these were the two major albums from Legends this summer. There are a few more bars that appear to be only making references to the way circumstances are changing and the emotion of the footage defeating Lil Wayne. Not just any Wayne was defeated, they also defeated the one who published a Carter series episode. Overall, this song shows that Drake wants NBA players to look out for him and adhere to the same norms that MCs do, especially when it comes to dissing him. Anthony Edwards helped put this song together, okay? Now, if Drake continues to be petty and, more generally, with the assertion that Pusha is making here, they will have a falling out. What I adore about it and what makes Pusha T's role in rap so unique in so many ways is that he has truly redefined everything. This includes the fact that at this point in his career, a rapper who is over 20 years old is simply better than all of the new MCs and more in tune with what the culture wants than they are, as well as the fact that Push has redefined the boundaries of hip-hop and demonstrated that he has been playing the long game and will continue to be a star for as long as he desires. Actually, when you consider the history of these incidents, you can see that Push is superior to Wade and Birdman in every manner. Additionally, you can see that Push is far more significant to hip-hop's future than Drake ever will be going forward. All things considered, this is just incredible for hip-hop as a whole and demonstrates how the genre is changing and evolving as Pusha T embraces the cultural developments in the genre and his own abilities as an independent artist free from labels. Additionally, Pusha just added this to his resume, which indicates that he is currently among the top rappers. What it's actually demonstrating is that there is a lot to be enthusiastic about in terms of Pusha's potential and his sincere goals. Overall, if you're not a longtime hip-hop fan, this may not have as much of an impact. But given that we are, at a moment when Lil Wayne has failed and many want him to quit, Birdman is completely ashamed. Even if Drake is Drake in the worst manner imaginable, Pusha T and Clips were musicians that were constantly viewed as inferior to them, had constant label problems, and appeared to be on the verge of being adopted by the industry. Well, it only adds another accomplishment to Pusha's impressive resume to see these underdogs persist through everything and win. Yes, you heard correctly. I mentioned Gold Case because Pusha has now truly risen to the top of the rap scene, and you could only use a few different names for him. Furthermore, when we consider the entirety of his contributions to hip-hop, we find that he is not only one of the most prolific and competitive rappers of all time, which is why we have reached this point where Push is mocking and disparaging Birdman, Drake, and Wayne while simultaneously having a timeless album ascend the charts. In my opinion, Pusha T is among the most tenacious rappers of all time, as well as the most persistent musician I have ever encountered. And in a rap game where people give up so easily and fall off so quickly, you really just need to respect what all of this means and the message it sends to artists for years to come. Now that everything has been said, tell me what you think about Push. Taking a victory lap after setting an incredible record with the Cliffs and disparaging his longtime rivals in this instance by laughing at them before going on to bigger and better things now. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on this song and the current state of hip-hop. Additionally, if you watch the entire video, please remember to subscribe and like it. It is really helpful to me. And now, if you want to see how Drake just made himself seem even worse by disparaging Kendrick Lamar in one of the strangest ways I have ever seen immediately before this, well, on the other side, as Pusha is winning. Afterward, in episode 2 of his Iceman rollout, he released another garbage song. View the recommended video.